This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Bean Jean. Bean Jean. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
And a good evening, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Beach Talk Radio, Friday night edition. And our one topic for tonight is the Outrigger and Charlie's, which were recently sold on Fort Myers Beach for $38.2 million. And right now we bring on the CEO of London Bay, Mark Wilson. Mark, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Ed, good to be with you and good to have the opportunity to chat. Thank you.
Why don't you give us some background real quick about London Bay?
So, yeah, it's interesting, right? So I moved out to Florida from England, nice English picture in the background probably, back in 1984 and lived in Fort Myers for about 10 years and then eventually moved down towards Naples and lived in Naples since then. So I've been in Southwest Florida for a long time. I founded London Bay with my wife back in 1990, and over the last 33 years now, right, we've built up a company of about 120 odd great team members with a fairly decent footprint in home building and development, not only condos, but senior living. We have some of our own design team, our own interior design company. So a pretty decent platform. And all of the work that we do is in Southwest Florida. We're from Naples up to Sarasota, but 90% of it is between, or 80% of it is between Naples and Sanibel.
And you're not unfamiliar with Fort Myers Beach. You just completed a project down on the south side.
Yeah, no, not unfamiliar at all. So when I was living in Fort Myers, right, certainly on an evening or a weekend, coming down to Fort Myers Beach in a Jeep Wrangler and coming and having a beer or a cocktail on the beach was one of the things that we did for many years and thoroughly enjoyed it. And then recently, as you mentioned, over the last 5 years, we've been working on Grandview, and that's been under construction for approximately 2 years, which we're coming to the completion of, which is in September, and we'll be moving our first residents in. So we're excited about that and hope that you come out and take a look and see it and you can report back on it, Ed. But no, very familiar with Fort Myers Beach. And from the moment that we did Grandview and we started at Grandview, we were looking for other opportunities, but clearly there weren't that many, certainly of any scale. And with the devastation after Ian, it did create opportunities for London Bay to look at other things and partner with the community and the city in building back Fort Myers Beach.
So when do you think we'll start to see some of the Outrigger and Charlie's buildings come down? They've been obviously sitting there untouched for over 10 months. What's your plan there?
Yeah, I think we'll start to see them come down, probably before the end of the year, over the next 3-6 months, and get the site cleaned up and, get rid of what is currently there.
And right now, the area is under a CPD, and obviously when a building goes away, the CPD goes away. So is your plan to resubmit a new CPD project? Is that how the whole thing will work with the town?
So I think there's a couple of ways of going, right? I mean, the city council is currently looking at doing a new comp plan and looking at various locations on the beach. And we can wait to see how that goes through. Or the other alternative is that we look for a small scale comp plan amendment ourselves, and we go in and say that this is what we want. And we're pretty sure that's the route that we're going to take so that we can move it forward and look at the Outrigger and Charlie's separate to everything else that is happening on the beach.
Okay. So right now the maximum height is 35 feet. Do you have any idea how high you want to go?
I think today the answer is you're correct, but clearly we are going to look for a change in height. But I'm not going to do the big reveal today, Ed. I'll come back to do that.
I didn't think so. I didn't
I'll
think
come.
so.
I'll come back to do that another day, right? I think the important thing is to let your viewers and listeners know that over the last several months, we've taken the time to meet with each of the city council members, and we wanted to sit down with them and say, okay, the beach has been devastated, and it's absolutely terrible what's happened, but what's your vision of what comes back? What do you want to see, and how can we help? So we did some listening, really, Ed, and I think what came out of that, if I may, was probably the majority said we really want to see beach activation, right? We understand that Outrigger and Charlie's were kind of beloved institutions on the beach. People loved having a cocktail at sunset or going over to Charlie's for a meal. So they said, we would really like you to consider, you don't have to do this, but we would really like you to consider beach activation. And the more that you can do for the community and make that still an important node, the kind of happier we will be. And or a hotel, right? To try and make sure that we don't lose one of the really important locations on the beach. And in addition to that, I think for us, we see it as a combination of hotel and hotel condo, or hotel and condos. And we're not there with the answers to that. And I think when we come back and we do our submissions, Ed, I want to come in and be able to present the vision of what we're doing with great illustration and graphics, rather than just talking about what height are we going to be. I think what the whole combination is and how it all comes together is probably more important than any one item, right?
Right. On that side of the island, we walk down there and take some video almost every weekend. There are a lot of high buildings in that area. I mean, not too far from where the Outrigger was. You don't have to walk very far to see really tall buildings. Yet the LPA and the town council have kind of vowed that they're going to stick to their comp plan and their the LDC. So how are you going to make that all mesh together so that it's an investment worth your while?
So I think that's, obviously that's one of the challenges of working on any project, and certainly when you're looking for a comp plan amendment, is trying to find that that comfortable ground between what our needs and wants are, what the community needs and wants are, and city council, and making sure they can go through. You're absolutely right. If you look at where we are, there's 10 stories, 13 stories, and even 16-story buildings not too far away. So there's definitely height at that end of the island, and the south end of the island is the one area, probably the south end and the very far end on the north end is where there's been height, but the south end got the most height. So I think when we look at the combinations of what we're doing, yes, we're going to be looking for extra height, but I think the question for the city council is, we can come in and say, oh, let's just do condos, right? What's probably the highest economic benefit to London Bay? Probably straightforward condos, probably generates the most amount of money for us.
Okay. But that building right next door to you is got only 8 of them. They're selling for $4 million. They don't look like they're having any issue selling them.
Yeah, the numbers are high, right? But I think that's not what the community will want out of the Outrigger, because it's been so historic.
Yeah.
I think that the idea that people can public can walk onto the beach and enjoy the beach bar or go to the restaurant, and for us to have a hotel and the legacy continues, I think it's something that's important to the community, but I think it's also important to us. We're not a developer that's coming in out of town to make a quick buck. We've been here 33 years. We're very careful and diligent about the way we go about designing a project, and time is important. When you spend $38 million, time is important to any developer, clearly, right? Time is money. But we're also a company that has the ability to hire the right people, to take the right amount of time, to make sure that we design the right project in the right location and it's going to be there for a long time. Outrigger was what, 60 years?
Yeah.
And when it was built, it was ideal for what was done then. Our goal is to create and design something that's ideal now and that the community loves and becomes another beloved location along the beach for them to enjoy, as well as our residents that might be in condo, hotel, or condos.
All right. So it kind of sounds like there's going to be some give and take, or at least you hope there's going to be some give and take where you kind of bring back what people love, but in return, there needs to be some give back. You need some height. You need some height.
I think that's true, Ed. I mean, again, I don't want to get into specifics today, but I think if we create what is required and loved by the community, and it isn't the highest and best use economically for us, then yes, we will want to get something, or not get something, but we'll be applying for some height increases. But again, I think until the community sees what we're talking about, I think it's too early. The other thing is to make sure that we get the community involvement and to make sure that we have the meetings where they can see the way that we're thinking and get their input and have back and forth in town hall meetings and obviously through staff and city council. So it's going to take a while.
Yeah. How do you envision, if you can share, how you seeing Charlie's and the other side? How do you see those two properties working together or incorporating them together?
Yeah, I think we want to keep both properties together and both of them to play off each other. The exact location and whereabouts of where does the restaurant go, obviously the beach bar, if we do a beach bar, is going to be on the beach. But the exact locations on that is the matrix we're trying to work through now with the design team. I mean, the good news is we've hired a really great design team, both the architect, planner, interior design company, leaders in what they do. We've brought people with hospitality and restaurant expertise in to explore this, as well as condo design. And we've also got a market research company working with us through the economics of highest and best uses and what the combination, I see it as an economic matrix, and what's the combination of the different uses and the different units that we can do to get the best results, not only for us, but as I said, making sure that we're creating a project that is loved by the community in decades ahead.
Height aside, is there a number of rooms in your mind that you've figured out you need?
I think it depends on what the hotel is. I mean, I'm sure one of the questions is probably what is the hotel going to be? And I think it's we see it as very much a boutique hotel, right? The Fort Myers Beach and the Outrigger. I mean, Fort Myers has got its own vibe. It's kind of a funky vibe, if I can describe it as that. And finding the right product in terms of the hotel and that beach activation is really important to us. And getting the right design team to do that with a great deal of expertise is important. And then his question is, what is that combination of number of rooms? There's 144 units there now, right? Okay. What is the combination of rooms that we do versus condos in the future? And that will reveal itself to us probably in the next 60 days, something like that. As I said, we've got a top research company working with us on the economic matrix, the demand matrix, and what is the various products that's likely to succeed in this area.
Do you think you'll try and keep the Outrigger name somehow on that property?
Too early to tell. I think we'll try and make sure that certainly for the hotel and there's a restaurant, there is a strong linkage to the history of Fort Myers Beach. I think there needs to be a story that goes along with a boutique hotel and the whys and wherefores, and the same with restaurants and bars. So no, I won't commit that we're keeping the Outrigger, but it's definitely one of the opportunities. But I think the important thing is to think through that story of what it would be about as part of it, as part of the community, and look back in, over the last 5-6 decades and just think that through as we go through the design. That's part of the fun of doing this, right?
I don't know. I've never had $38.2 million to spend, but if you say that's fun, okay. No, so when you kind of pitch things, or not pitch things, but when you kind of bring your ideas to some of the council members or some of the LPA members, you must have thought, okay, I mean, I can work my plan into this, and this investment's going to work. I mean, is that obviously that's the feeling you got? Because that's not like taking $10 out of your wallet and saying, I don't mind if I lose it.
Yeah, no, I think obviously we've taken it seriously. We're not, we've, as I said, been around for a long time, and we got some pretty large scale developments underway, as I think you're aware. And we're used to large scale investment. So this isn't new to us. And clearly, yes, we think we can get a return on this. It's just for us trying to work through the things that I just mentioned to you, Ed, which is very important to get this right. I think that's another thing to chat through, right? You're going to have 2 or 3 different types of developers that come into Fort Myers Beach, right? And you probably want somebody with experience that understands the market, has hopefully been in the market for a long time and cares about the community. But also we're going to attract the out-of-town developer that wants to come in, rush through something, turn a buck, and disappear and off to the next place. And different companies in between those 2 points. And clearly we're the first, right? We're going to take the time to get feedback. We're going to take the time to get the design right, and make sure that what we do really is worthy of what we think is one of the really important nodes along the beach. We're not somebody where we've got a debt clock ticking at us that we must get moving no matter what. So we're not going to do a shoebox with windows in it. We're going to make sure that we design something that's really special for the beach, and not only London Bay can be proud of, but the community can be proud of.
Put the people at ease that follow our show about their traffic worries and the extra density worries that they might see with the new.
Yeah. So I think great points, Ed. I mean, certainly as we talk to the city council, the traffic concerns came up with everybody, right? Clearly, having been up and down, been as long as I have in the community, traffic has always been a concern on Fort Myers Beach from the time that I first came in the 80s to now, and it's obviously got busier. With the devastation from Ian, obviously our population has gone down considerably, so the current usage is way different, and it's going to take many years for the community to build back to us to have the same level of traffic that we had previously. But the city council and the staff need to be thinking about what is it when it's all built out. So I think if you think about the hotel uses, I think the different, if it does become a hotel and that's the way we go, the question is how do you offset some of that traffic in the future? And I think it's been talked about before, but I think shuttles from the airport, maybe shared shuttles with other hotels. I like the idea that Moss Marine is talking about with the boat shuttles going down the bay. We want it to be very bike friendly, very walking friendly, and to reduce the traffic as best as you can. But as we build back the community and if and when density is added, it is going to increase traffic flow. But again, I reiterate, it's going to take years for us to get anywhere close to where we were previously.
You mean island-wide is what you mean, not just in that one spot?
Yeah. No, I mean, across Fort Myers Beach, it's going to take us years. I mean, if you think about what's the time frame for our project, and it's probably something that you were going to ask, but it's good by example, right? For us to go through this design process, and for us to kind of get through, this is what we want to talk about with the community and get input. is going to take us through the next 60, 90 days. From there, it's probably going to take us another 6 to 9 months to get through a compliant amendment. So we're into this a year. From there, you've got to do pre-sales for a product that's going to take you another 6 to 12 months. And then you've got to build it, which takes another 2 years. So you're talking about four years plus before something is actually there and people can again enjoy the spot. And we're not going to be dissimilar to other developers going through this process. And today, unfortunately, even for a single family home, right, if you buy one of the beachfront homes or one of the non-beachfront homes today, because the market is so busy, you are taking 6 to 12 months to design a home. You're taking 12 to 2 years to build a home, and some of them longer than that. So it's unfortunately going to be slower than everybody would like to get the rejuvenation of the community. We just want to be a positive part of that rejuvenation.
So I have these conversations with town councilmen and LPA members all the time. Whenever somebody sees a new project, a bunch of people, a lot of the people, and they might get mad at what I say this, they kind of freak out. I mean, I think they've come to the realization that it's never going to be the way it was. And that's sad. But that is the reality. And then developers come up with a plan and people freak out. Do you think that there needs to be a mindset, a change on the beach, the people that visit it, the people that live there, that things are going to have to be a little bit higher, or things are going to have to change if people want things to ever get built?
I think the short answer to that is yes, right? I mean, let's be totally clear that the devastation, as I said, was absolutely terrible. We understand what the last 10 months have been like living in the community. And what was built in the 60s, 70s, and 80s was appropriate for the 60s, 70s, and 80s. But that doesn't mean that it's appropriate for 2020, 2030, 2040 as we go forward. And also our building codes have totally changed, as you know, Ed. Our FEMA standards buildings are going to be higher just to get up the first living level. The building code, which is excellent, which will help any of the new buildings actually do extremely well in severe weather, is going to help us. But with that, the community is going to change in its feel from where it was. But that was happening anyway, right? Just take a look at Bonita Beach Road north of the beach. That has changed dramatically from small framed houses that were cute and had some charm, some of them, to very serious 3-story buildings, 2 stories over parking, and now all the way along the beach. It's hard to find anything that was original there. So, we're going to see that happening with redevelopment, whether it's Fort Myers Beach or anywhere. But after a storm, there's clearly the ability to kind of create a new canvas for this decade, not 5 decades ago. Does that make sense?
Yes. And you brought up something I want to make sure I get in before you have to go. Are you, with the new rules and the fact that they were on the beach before, are you able to build a beach bar on the sand the way it was, or do you have to build up?
No, it won't. We would love it to be directly on the sand, right? It'd be fantastic. That's the most enjoyable thing. But clearly we've got to work with FEMA and we've got to work with the rules. There's some exceptions for being able to do structures below FEMA, but it cuts off what we're allowed to do with power. And if you have if you've got a bar there, it's very hard to have power to the bar. So there's certain rules that we're going to have to work through. We want to get as close. If we're going to do a beach bar, we want it to be as close to the beach as we possibly can. It's important that you get that vibe and that feel. And there's nothing cooler than being close to the sand at a beach bar.
That sand, that beach back there is huge from where the building was to where the water is. Did you lose any of the property there because of the coastal construction line or the new rules or anything, or is it the property that the way it was is still buildable for you?
Approximately, right? It's not
Okay.
exact. It's approximate. Clearly, the actual property line goes way into the beach, but we can't do anything with it. It stays at the
Right.
beach. But one of the things that attracted us is exactly what you said. What a fantastic piece of beach it is. The depth of it is really special and probably one of the nicest spots down the beach.
Yeah. So when can folks on the beach see your plans? When will you have an open house where they can actually look at, what you plan on putting there? Like, I'm guessing that you're going to do the whole community thing and show it off. And so give us a time frame for that part of it.
Yeah, I think, as I said, we've got the design team working. We're going to get some of their feedback over the next 6-8 weeks. So it's probably going to be an October, November time frame for those meetings. And that's probably good, right? And then the people are back and people can be involved. We're not doing it over the summer months, so we can get everybody's input. And if we can do things sooner than that, we will. We actually look forward to it. And when we've got it, Ed, I'd love to come back and be with you and just show it through this medium. I think it's great.
That'd be great. Now, it's amazing that if everything goes according to plan, it's still 4 years away.
I think
how
so.
Crazy it is.
Yeah. I mean, if everything goes to plan. And, with other projects that we've involved in, and this, it's definitely something for the city council to have in the back of the mind, right? It's important to get projects going again. It's important to activate the beach. It's important to get the public uses back. But that's going to come with some, they will have to make decisions to allow projects to go forward. Because if that doesn't happen, God forbid, I'm not talking about outrigger, but properties will get retraded and then start the process again and again and again. And I think it's important to get some wins. And I've been watching carefully what's been going on to date, and I think certainly watch closely, which is probably the most talked about, is Moss Marine, right, and the process that they've gone through, but a very significant development that I think has got many benefits for the community, like what they've done, like the process that they've gone through. But it's different, totally different. And I'd like to see some wins for the beach.
Couple minutes left, so give the folks on the that are watching and that might watch after, what do you want to say to them?
As I said, company here that's been here an awful long time. We get Fort Myers Beach. We've had questions and we've had comments. Oh, they're going to try and bring Naples to Fort Myers Beach. No, we're not. We've got a very large project in Estero called Salt Leaf, and that is a significant project, and we're trying to do Salt Leaf on Fort Myers Beach. No, we're not. It's important to respect the culture, the vibe of the community, and make sure that we design something that fits with that. We never take out, it's never a cookie cutter development, right? It's got to be right for the neighborhood, right for the community, as well as working for London Bay.
Mark, thanks so much for your time. I look forward to following the project and having you on again, and good luck.
Ed, it's been a pleasure. Thanks very much for the time.
Thank you very much. London Bay CEO Mark Wilson. He is now the owner of the Outrigger property and and Charlie's Restaurant. I appreciate him coming on today. So that'll be interesting to follow along, folks, to see what happens there on that piece of property. And the one question I forgot to ask, I'll save it for the next one. So tomorrow is a big day. Also, we have Andy Hyatt, the town manager, on at 11 o'clock, and following that up with Bill Veach, town councilman. Thank you, Robert. And by the way, thank you all for tuning in tonight. We had a very big audience. Obviously, that's a very important piece of property to all of you out there. So just be patient and don't jump to any conclusions yet. And we'll just keep you informed on that. So tomorrow, 11:45, Bill Veach will be on, because Bill is kind of going through something similar to what Amy and Rick are going through with their garage. So he wanted to talk about that. So that's tomorrow at 11 and 11:45. The walk around is going to be at 7:30 in the morning. And then on Monday, our show with Mayor Allers is going to be at Diamond Head. We're doing the first Monday of every month at Diamond Head. So that'll be at 5 o'clock on Monday because we want to do the show when the restaurant is open. So thank you all for tuning in. We'll have more information on all these projects tomorrow on the show at 11 o'clock, live from Wahoo Willie's. They open at 10:30 for everybody that comes to follow the show. So we will see you early tomorrow at 10:30, and we'll have all our merchandise if you want to come by and pick anything up. And then next weekend, we're in Wisconsin for our show at Tanner's Grill in Kimberly, Wisconsin. So thank you guys for everything, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 7:30.